Hi guys, and welcome back to the Aspiring Home Cook. My name's Trisha, and in today's video I'm going to show you one of my go-to quick and easy recipes for a mixed vegetable pasta in red sauce. This recipe is extremely versatile, so you can switch it up and add whatever veggies you have on hand, and it comes together in mere minutes. The entire dish takes as long as it'll take you to boil a pot of pasta. I absolutely love this red sauce recipe, and it is very similar to the one that I use to make my homemade pizza. Now, if you haven't seen that video, I'm going to link that up here for you so that you can go check that out as well. Now, before we move on to the recipe, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. Once you do, click on that little bell icon right next to it so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Alright, so now let's go on over to the kitchen and take a look at how I put together my veggie pasta with the tomato sauce. So for the sauce, here's what you're going to need. I've got 3 large cloves of garlic that I've finely chopped, quarter of an onion chopped, about a third to half a cup of peppers chopped, half a zucchini that I've sliced, a little bit of broccoli and some corn. To amp up the flavor, I'm also going to throw in some sliced olives. Like I said before, you can use whatever vegetable you have on hand. To make my sauce today, I'm using passata. You can use tomato puree, you can use canned tomatoes, you can also use fresh tomatoes if they are in season. You just have to cook them down a lot longer. I'll take you through the herbs and seasonings as we add them to the sauce. Before we start with our sauce, we're actually going to get the pasta cooking because that's going to take the longest. So either bring a pot of water to a boil. To speed that up even further, I'm just going to add some water from a recently boiled kettle. When that water comes to a rolling boil, like you can see it's boiling vigorously with a lot of bubbles, season this water. I've added a good 1.5 spoons of salt here because you want this water to be extra salty so that it seasons your pasta well. And into that, I'm going to add my pasta. I'm using some spiral pasta today. You can use whatever you've got on hand. Just stir that around so that it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pot. And you're going to let this cook until it's done. I like my pasta al dente with just a little bite to it. You can cook it as tender as you'd like it to get. While the pasta is cooking, we're going to get on with our sauce. So I've got a pan on some medium heat, and into a hot pan, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil, about a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. You don't want the pan to be screaming hot, but it needs to be warm. Now, to enhance the flavor of the sauce and make sure that the garlic doesn't burn, we're not going to wait for the oil to heat up. I'm just going to go in with the garlic straight away, and you're going to let that garlic slowly and gently infuse the oil with its flavor. I'm going to saute it for a minute or so, or until it all smells nice and aromatic. Remember, you don't want to develop any color, and you definitely don't want that garlic to burn. As soon as that garlic becomes all aromatic, add in your onion. You're going to gently cook this on a medium heat till the onions start softening just a tiny bit. I'm happy with that, and now I'm going to add my peppers. I'm using some red and some green peppers. Stir that through, and you're going to let that cook gently as well. Remember, the key to beautiful flavor in this sauce is to let everything cook down nice and slowly. You just want to sweat the vegetables and soften them. You don't want to char them or caramelize them. You're going to stir fry them and let this cook off till the peppers soften a little. The peppers have been cooking for a couple of minutes. I'm going in with my broccoli now. I've kept these pieces of broccoli fairly small so that they cook through fast. Stir that into the mix and let that start cooking down as well. I don't want the broccoli to cook through at this stage because it is going to continue to cook in the sauce. I'm just looking to coat it with all those beautiful flavors that have developed in the pan now. And then I'm going to go in with the zucchini. I've cut my zucchini pieces on the thicker side because I want them to retain a little texture. I don't want them to go all mushy. And I'm going to quickly go in with the corn as well. Give everything a good stir to mix it well. Now that's a gorgeous assortment of colors, and I know that that's going to result in a healthy and extremely delicious sauce. So we're going to stir that around till everything has heated through. Now it's time for the seasoning. I'm going to put in a little salt to taste, some freshly cracked black pepper, a light sprinkling of chili flakes. You can use as much or as little as you'd like, and some mixed herbs. I'm going in with about a teaspoon's worth. And I love the flavor of oregano in this sauce, so I'm just going to go in and add a little bit of extra oregano leaves to that, about half a teaspoon's worth. And you're going to stir all that goodness through and let all the herbs and spices coat those veggies. Now into the pan goes our passata or tomato puree. I'm going to add about a cup's worth of this and stir that around. And you're going to let this cook up until those veggies are nice and tender and the flavor in that sauce has developed well. Now, I'm going to add some chicken style stock. This is 100% vegan option, so it's basically vegetable stock made in a chicken style, if that makes any sense. But I happen to love this. I love that it's organic and it's Australian. Now, since my passata bottle has finished off, I'm just going to add my stock to the bottle. I've got about roughly half a cup's worth of stock here. I'm going to put the lid on and swirl that around to extract all that leftover puree and add this to the pan. If you've got leftovers in the bottle that you're keeping for another recipe, just simply add the stock to the pan straight away. If you don't have stock on hand, you can also use water and add it to your sauce at this stage. Now we're going to give everything a good stir, and we're going to let it come to a boil gently on a medium heat, and we're going to let it simmer for a few minutes to develop those flavors. Now, just before your sauce is ready, add a little bit of sugar. You're not trying to sweeten the sauce, you're just trying to balance out all the flavors and counter the tartness of the tomato puree. I've used about half a teaspoon of sugar here. If your tomatoes are very tart, you might need to add a little more. Stir everything through. You can see that the sauce has started to thicken nicely and the veggies are almost cooked. Taste your sauce and adjust any of the seasonings as needed. And your sauce is ready. You can turn the heat off now. And just as our sauce is nice and ready, our pasta is also cooked. Check for doneness. My pasta is ready. I'm now ready to drain that. Before I discard all the water that the pasta was boiled in, I usually like to reserve somewhere between a quarter and a half a cup of that pasta water to use in that sauce. And once the pasta has drained, add it into the sauce and stir that around, toss everything so that the pasta is coated in that beautiful sauce. I just realized that I've forgotten the olives, so I'm just going to tip that in at this stage. You can add it to your sauce while the sauce is cooking as well and stir everything through. Now, I like to place the pan on a gentle heat at this stage and add just a touch of that pasta water, a couple of tablespoons, not more. This just helps that sauce thicken beautifully. The starch in the pasta does that, and it helps the sauce coat and cling to the pasta really well. Stir everything through so that the pasta is well coated, and we're just going to let that liquid cook off for a minute or so. We've hardly put any water in there, so it shouldn't take that long to cook off. Take your pasta off the heat and you are now ready to serve. And that, my dears, is how easy it is to make this beautiful pasta at home. That sauce has got bags of flavor from the herbs and the seasonings and is chock full of vegetables, so you know it's healthy for you. Serve this piping hot. You can serve a little garlic bread on the side if you'd like, or a fresh green salad, or just serve this up by itself. If you have any leftovers, they store refrigerated for a day or so perfectly. You can take them to lunch the next day and just reheat them in the microwave and you're good to go. So this recipe works really well for some lunchbox meals too. We're now ready to plate up. Make sure you get a good mix of those pasta noodles as well as the vegetables on the plate. And lastly, top that off with some grated Parmesan cheese. And you're ready to serve. I can't wait to dig into this pasta. This can easily be converted into a vegan recipe. Just substitute the Parmesan cheese for some vegan Parmesan and you're good to go. Now, if you'd like to add a little meat or some protein to this, you can definitely do that. Add some shredded chicken. You can add canned tuna to this if you'd like. It's a very versatile sauce, so you can add what you like to it. And that's all for me today for this second episode of Cooktober 2019, where I'll be posting a new recipe every single day all month. And I'd really love for you to join along. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with family and friends that you think might enjoy it. As always, I'll leave a link to the recipe down in the description box below for you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to see you really soon with another delicious recipe. So till then, take care. Bye.